Hello everyone, so I thought I'd do a quick introductory video on the new property compliance features that we've introduced specifically with the smoke and carbon monoxide alarm law changes. So without further ado, I'm going to jump straight into a draft report that I've got set up on the screen in front of you now. So when I go into here, you will notice that there is a new property compliance section. Now this property compliance section shows on all report types, so whether it's a check-in inventory, an interim visit, or a checkout, that will show on all these reports. So if I jump into that section, you'll see that there are a series of simple yes, no, NA questions that will display within their own new section in the report called property compliance, which I'll show you in just a second. But it's worth noting that the options that I have here, if you press yes or no, those responses will show in that section against that question. If you say not applicable, that question just doesn't show at all within the report. So it works in a very similar way to the interim visit questions that we have. I'm not going to go through all of these questions just now. I'm just going to spin down the page a little bit, and then you'll notice that there is also an option here for me to add photos. So I can add up to 12 photos against these 8 checklist questions. However, of course, don't forget, you can also add additional photos about smoke alarms within the body of the report, specifically against an item, in this case a smoke alarm or a carbon monoxide alarm, which I'm going to show you just now. So I'll hit done on this in just a second. But before I do that, actually, it's worth noting that you can also pop some general notes in here as well against those questions. So I'm just going to hit done on that. And then I'm going to go straight into the rooms and spaces, into the entrance hallway, and I'm going to go straight to my smoke alarm item. So once I'm in here, you will notice that there is a new field called compliance flag. Now, this new compliance flag option, we automatically enable it for smoke and carbon monoxide alarm items, because that will allow the information that you capture to then go in its own section within the report, which, as I say, I will show you in just a second. But the first field you'll notice is the date tested field. So this, of course, allows you to populate when that alarm was tested. So I'm going to hit on that. And there's also an option for expiry date as well. Now, we appreciate you might not always be able to locate an expiry date on a smoke alarm, but if you can, we recommend putting that in here, because not only will it show in the table in the report, it will also trigger automated reminders to you. Should you wish to. So it will send you an alert to 3 months before something expires, 2 months, a month, and upon the day of expiry as well. That's the new compliance flag section. It is worth noting that you can turn that, enable that compliance flag for other items. Perhaps it might be a tumble dryer, a washing machine, etc. And those items will show in that new compliance section. Next bit, perhaps worth mentioning, of course, the descriptions when you're describing, your smoke alarms is the same as it's been before. So you can identify a really quick way of hitting on the drop down, saying it's on the ceiling, the test function works, it's battery powered, and then a note to the tenant to test it periodically as well is in those options. But of course, you can free type or you can voice dictate as well. So if I just scroll down the page a little bit further as well, you'll notice now that on an inventory and a check-in inventory, you can now also flag maintenance issues in the same way that you can for an interim or a checkout report, because it will show on the front page. And if you have a look at the options here, you'll see that you can identify something that needs repairing, replacing, etc. Flag some responsibility if you want to, add some extra comments. If you use Fixflow, you can integrate that item straight in by saying yes or no. And of course, those issues also land into our maintenance area, which is available when you're on the browser version like I am now, up in the tools area. When you hit on that, it enables you to export a spreadsheet of those issues as well. So I'm just going to hit save and next on that, and I'm going to just jump and show you the actual report itself now, show you these new sections. If I hit on preview report, you will notice that I flagged that smoke alarm as needing replacing, it being the landlord responsibility. I then can see the property compliance questions. So this is where I had those yes, no, NA options, and then this new table that I mentioned before. So when you enable the compliance flag, as I showed you before on the item where you can put in the date it was tested and the expiry date. That now shows on a new compliance item section as well within the report. So it's pretty self-explanatory stuff. One final thing that I wanted to identify as well, just going into an interim visit. As I mentioned before, you've got this property compliance section in here as well as the other report we just looked at. You'll notice that we've made some changes as well to the questions in here. We used to have a section in here called safety certificate compliance. So we've opted to remove those questions purely because feedback from users was generally that the issues they want to identify in these reports are more specifically about things they can visually check when they're in the property, rather than safety certificates, which sometimes somebody going out to do an inspection inside a property won't necessarily know if there is a valid safety certificate. But don't worry, if you liked those questions and you want to continue to use them, you can use a custom report which enables you to create your own sets of questions and so on. I won't go into those now, but we will be sending out some further information about new templates that we've created for everybody to use. And again, they're very straightforward. You just go up against the property, and then you have your option in here to add a custom report. So that could be a Legionnaire's report, Legionnaire's checklist. It could be safety certificate checklist, all those, whatever you want. You can create them from scratch with your own questions in the settings area. But if you look up custom reports in support, you can find information on that. But over the next couple of weeks, we will be sending out some more templates for our users to choose from. So thanks very much. Thanks for listening.